My name is Diego Ochoa. I'm going to take off my face covering for just a second, Superintendent of the Hollister School District. And I want to basically welcome you all to our Parent Town Hall focusing on social and emotional learning and supporting kids in our district during this coronavirus time. I'm going to point out we have this really nice sign right on the table. Our principal from Mays brought it over. It's a Hawk Pride sign. And up on the wall we have this really beautiful message that says, if you have a child's heart, you have a child's mind. It's a quote from our Capturing Kids' Heart program, and our principal of Lad Lane brought it over. As I said a minute ago, my name's Diego Ochoa. I'm the superintendent of the Hollister School District, and I'm joining you this evening as an educator, but also as a parent. I have a 5-year-old who will be a kindergarten student in the district this year, and also as a community member. I live in the community, and so what we do to educate students is very important to me. And we're going to start with some introductions. I want you to get to know the people that are with us tonight, and then we have a list of questions that people have sent to us in advance, and we have a phone number that you can call tonight to be able to call and ask questions live while we're on YouTube. So with that, I'll pass it over to my coworker.
Yes, I'm Janina Stoya, and I am the principal at Lad Lane School. I'm also a parent, 3 children in the Hollister School District, 2nd grade, 4th grade, and 6th grade. I'm also a community member, and I've lived in Hollister for many years, and we're all in this together, and I'm excited to hopefully answer some questions tonight.
Hi, good evening. I'm Diana Herbst, and I'm the principal at Mays Middle School. I too am a local living here in Hollister. I've been here for the last 8 years. I have been in education for over 25 years, and I've been in admin for about 10 years. I have 2 sons. One is starting his first year of college, and one is starting his sophomore year. And I'm excited to be here tonight.
I'm Barbara Penny. I teach 8th grade science at Mays Middle School, going on my 17th year there. I'm pretty excited. I also can't believe I'm that old. I have 2 kids. One, she's going to be a sophomore at the high school here, and then my son is at his 8th grade year at Mays Middle School with me.
Oh, that's awesome. And thank you for sharing that with us. One of the things that is important about tonight is that it's really going to connect for parents all of the town halls we've had up until this point, where we've talked about distance learning, what Google Classroom is going to be like, what it's going to be like to have Footsteps to Brilliance and Eureka Math. And we've talked to parents about how to help children with special needs and how to help children who need more support academically. But what we really haven't done is taken the time to answer all the questions about how to deal with the emotions and how to deal with the self-esteem and how to deal with the personal feelings of kids that are out there right now in our town, and what that means for their education. And so the first question that we got via email was one that we talked about really briefly before we started tonight, and we said, well, this question, if you ask it in one way, it could mean one thing, but if you ask it in another way, it could mean something different. So I'm going to read it to you. It says, with kids that aren't responsive to online live learning, what support is there? So, Ms. Ostoya, you talked for a minute about what that could mean. Just help us understand how you interpreted that question.
So what sticks out to me in that question is the word support. And I think that in the spring when we went to distance learning, we tried to support as best we could, but we didn't have time to get a game plan together. And this year, our teachers and our admin have been working really hard to get supports in place before the first day of school. And so we have a lot of supports that are going to happen. Our assistant principals are working really hard right now on putting out supports for parents in distance learning, making videos, all of that. So I just feel like there's some different moving pieces that are going to be there this year. Not only those videos, but tech support is gonna be amped up, there's gonna be, a lot of support from the schools to reach out to families that are struggling. We're gonna have a lot more personnel to help us support.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned about our assistant principal, so let me explain to the parents what Ms. Ostoya mentioned. So basically, we sent a survey to every family in the district, and we asked what kind of trainings or what kind of support can we give parents? And we gave them a list of about 20 different things that parents could receive training on. So we took all the ones that got the highest responses, and we basically gave all those responses to our assistant principals, and we said, we want you to make videos for parents that parents can watch at any time that will help them do things like this. How do I check my students' attendance in Infinite Campus? How do I log my child into their Google Classroom? How can I see if my child has turned in their homework? Barbara, you teach middle school. How much will it help for parents to be able to, without asking their teenager, go in and check their child's work?
Oh, it's extremely helpful. So I have Jack's account, so anytime that I need to, I just go into his Google Classrooms and I check all his work before and after he submits it. So it's very helpful to be able to log into his Google account and check his Google Classroom and have access to all that stuff, as well as Infinite Campus.
Because he's an 8th grader basically at your school.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you work there, you still tell your child, give me your account.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go in and check.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna basically, I trust you, but I'm gonna verify. Everything you told me,
Check.
I'm
Right.
checking.
It says he turned it in.
You said that nicely.
I had a boss who said, trust but verify.
Yes.
I trust you,
Very
Diego,
much.
but I'm gonna verify what you said. So Diana, when we read this earlier, we had another way of looking at it in terms of, I'm not responsive. Do you wanna talk a little bit about that?
That the parents weren't?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
or that the students weren't
Yeah.
responsive. I think that goes even to question number 2.
Yeah.
How do we get them to respond? How do we get them to participate? And that's where I see the teachers starting to build relationships with students. And that's gonna be huge starting August 17th because they're all gonna have new students. So, building relationships is going to be key, as well as making sure that we are communicating with parents. Making sure that parents know exactly what's going on in that school with their child in that classroom. And also asking our teachers to make sure that they're creating really engaging and productive activities for students. That's gonna be huge, building relationships and engaging lessons.
And you told us earlier, on August 11th, when your staff comes in, you're devoting the first day to talk about building relationships.
Right, so our professional learning that we have planned for August 11th with my entire staff.
All the teachers at
All the
Mays Middle
teachers
School.
at Mays Middle School, that will be one of the first things we focus on is building relationships with our students. That's been our motto even last year was rigor, relevance, and relationships, and we will continue to do that.
And look above you. If you have a child's heart, you have a child's mind.
Exactly.
Because if you can make a child know that you care about them, then all the stuff you tell them matters more to them.
And they will
It
do anything
means
for you.
something more to them.
And this is
you-
a difficult time. I mean, especially trying to do it virtually.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a little more work on our part to try and build that relationship with the students.
Yeah.
We're
Because
gonna have
it's
to
through,
get creative.
very creative,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and what's interesting about it is we are separated from each other right now. We have these face coverings on, we're 6 feet apart. But in reality, we're doing a lot of the same things together. We're just doing them from our offices or from our homes or from our schools. So even just the educators feel apart from one another.
Sure.
but we are also drawn together. We are also focused on accomplishing the same things, and I think that will happen with kids too. The next question we got, and we are getting phone calls, I do want to, if you've got stickies for me, Mrs. Sanchez, you can bring them over. For those of you that haven't met our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, tonight, she's taking on a separate job, where her job is getting me the questions that are online, that are being sent in online. So I'm gonna just read the first question from a parent, and then we'll fold them in as the night continues. So here's a question from a parent. Will the students have activities to interact with each other? Barbara, you're a teacher, you teach science. Will the students in your classes have activities where they interact with each other?
Yes, so actually I was discussing that today with a colleague, and the answer is yes. Our hope is that in a regular classroom, we don't spend a whole lot of time teacher talk. We do a lot of collaborative activities, partner time activities. So we're already talking about how we're gonna do breakout rooms and getting familiar with the Google Meet and how they do their breakout rooms. So it is definitely on our list of things to do to make sure that kids are working together collaboratively rather than just listening to teachers and watching videos or.
And I think that's super important during this time, because I think that, and I think there was a question about this, so I'm kind of jumping a little bit ahead, but children are feeling isolated just as adults are. And so I, as a parent, am looking forward to my kids going back to school, even though they're physically not going back to school, but I know that they're gonna get a lot of interaction with their teacher, as well as their peers. And I think that all the teachers know that they all need that, and so they're gonna work really hard at,
Yeah,
forming
and
those groups.
to piggyback off of that is just talking with teachers already and already having them send us some of the lessons that they're working on. That's where they're headed. They want that
They know they
engagement
need that.
and the activities for students to participate in.
I have a 5-year-old who says, when am I gonna start my calls again? He wakes up in the morning and says, is today the day I'm gonna start my calls again? Now, 6 months ago, he was charging out of the house to go to school
Yeah.
because he loves school. But right now he knows. In our house, we say, until the germies are gone, we can't be around other people. But he knows when the germies are gone, he'll be back at school. But right now, he's motivated to get back on those calls. He misses those calls.
Oh, yeah.
And he doesn't know who his new teacher is. And he says, I can't wait to meet my new teacher.
Oh.
So cute.
So even though we feel like in a normal year, we would see everybody, as a teacher and as a principal, you get hugs all day long, you got kids, high fives, and that's not gonna happen, but what is gonna happen is we're gonna bring a smile to kids' face the first day of school.
Yeah.
And then the cool thing is all of our schools are starting with minimum days, which will allow teachers to be able to hold some meetings with families and some meetings with kids. Especially at our elementary schools, we'll be able to have one-on-one meetings with students.
Start building the relationship.
Start building that relationship and start getting the kids connected to their teacher and to their new classmates, because some kids, they'll be in class with kids they've never been in class with,
That's right.
right? So it'll be a learning experience for them on that level. So I have another question, and it is, my daughter refused to talk or participate very much due to her shyness or anxiety with the live video format of the teachers and the students. What can we do to help this family?
Again, it goes back to communication, building relationships, making those phone calls to her parents or his parents and saying, I'm a little concerned about what's going on in the classroom. I see that your child is not participating. What can I do? Tell me a little bit more about your child. How can I relate to them? How can I connect to them? So all of that, again, is going to be very important from day one.
Yeah. I also think in the spring, like we mentioned, this was all new to the kids, to the teachers, to the admin, and we kind of got our feet wet. And the kids got used to or at least had exposure to these video calls and things like that.
Yeah.
What's different going into this school year is that there's a very clear schedule, and the interactions will be more frequent, and
They'll be daily,
they'll be daily.
every single day.
Every single day. And
Yeah.
just like anything new, it can be, for some people unnerving, but I think because there's going to be consistency and a set schedule, I think that kids will adapt.
Well, there is always the chat option as well.
I'm so glad you said that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing that I would be implementing as a teacher would be, hey, reach out to that student first off and just say, I want you to at least try to answer some of the things in the chat
Participate.
option first.
Yep.
And then try and build the relationship that way and hopefully come around and
Yeah.
have them
And
participate.
depending on how
The thumbs up.
depending on how severe, if it really is an anxiety issue,
Yeah.
I totally understand that, and I think that the communication between the parent and the teacher, if you guys have conversations about that, and
Yeah.
the child needs to turn their camera off for the first few weeks and just use chat,
Yeah.
that's okay. That's everybody,
build
we
up
gotta,
to-
we gotta meet people where they
Yeah.
are, and
Yeah.
students where they are, so.
So if I'm a teacher in the Hollister School District, then I'm doing a couple of things. What Barbara said is 100% correct. I'm getting to know kids, so I'm gonna send a message to that child and say, I notice you've been shy. When I ask people to verbally respond and you don't feel comfortable for the next X number of days, for the next 2 weeks, I want you to type in your answer, because no one's gonna see you type that in. It's, get that message going. It's like opening a door.
Yeah.
It's just cracking the door open. As a teacher, you have shy kids every year, and you know who they are, and you know which questions and which parts of the lesson you can involve them in that are okay, and you know which other questions, no way, you can't ask a shy kid to stand up and do Romeo and Juliet. But if you get them involved when it's a yes, no, when it's a, on
Warming
a
them
scale
up.
of 1 to 5, 5 being yes,
Mhm.
strong feelings, 1, then you can kind of get them going
Yeah.
in that direction. And I'm really glad that you mentioned that, because in that case, the technology might actually help
Yeah.
shy students more than if it were face-to-face interaction. Oh, here's a good one. My child feels isolated during this coronavirus, and distance learning makes my child feel isolated. How can my child become more connected with their teacher or their classmates? Can I start with you on this one, Barbara?
Sure.
When a child feels isolated, what can they expect to get from you as a teacher? What's that relationship gonna be like?
Well, like I said, I'm hoping me as well as other teachers will implement a lot of group activities, partner activities, a chance for them to get together and talk with other people so they're not feeling so isolated.
Yeah.
I'm loving the fact that we get the first few, or a couple weeks to call
Yeah.
and start building that relationship. That's gonna help a whole lot with the anxiety of how to start the year.
Yeah.
So I think that is our first step.
Yep.
And if kids are still feeling isolated, teachers need to reach out, maybe go over there, knock on the door, try and stay your distance and
Yeah.
just go over and ask if there's anything else that they need.
Yep.
That kind of stuff.
Just connect with them.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
just
connect.
do everything that we possibly can to make that connection so that they're not feeling so isolated.
Yeah, we're all educators, but we're also parents.
Yeah.
In my family, we have a big family, but it's been months since I've driven down to LA to see my family in LA, and it's been months since I've driven down to up to Sacramento to see my family there. But my kids, I do other things to get them connected with other people. I told the group I have a high school senior, a 17-year-old, and he's the type that he likes this game Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
And normally, him and his friends sit down at a table and they play for 6-7 hours at night, and the pizza and everything, and they can't do that right now. So what are they doing? They're going online.
Yeah,
So
that's
he
cool.
gets that connection, but it's happening online, and it's okay,
Yeah.
because he's made that connection with his friends that are
Mm-hmm.
important to him. The three of you have kids, what are your kids doing to stay connected, to feel connected to other people?
So a similar situation, my kids are younger than that, but they're playing games like Roblox, and they, have turned off a lot of their communicating on their devices, so they really can't talk on Roblox with anybody, but what my kids will do is they'll FaceTime their best friends if they have the contact and they're allowed to, and they'll both get on the game and they'll find each other and they go back and forth, and they're still interacting with each other. I mean, they're being creative and they're being
They're seeing their
resilient.
faces, yeah.
And they're seeing their friends. It's just different. And the same way that I'm still reaching out to family with phone calls and things like that. We're allowing them to do that with their friends, and so they are still keeping in touch,
That's great,
even though it might not be physical like it used to be.
yeah.
Same. My sophomore phone or playing games. He does have some neighborhood friends that they'll do social distancing in the street, or just to catch up, just to have physical connection with someone. And every now and then he'll take the golf cart and go play golf, and trying to keep him as active as I can, being a high school student. That's all they want to do is hang out with their friends. So, I mean, of course, setting limits, but those are the things that I've been doing with mine.
Same here.
Yeah.
They do the same thing. My nephew lives in Texas, so Jack and him are 2 weeks apart, and they're every day they're talking to each other all the time. So that's really nice, and he's actually made some other friends in Texas.
Oh,
So he's got some buddies that he calls there almost every day.
Nice.
So it's nice that we
Yeah.
don't have to worry about long distance phone calls anymore.
Yes, technology's come a long way.
That's been a big help.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I did wanna mention is, the nice thing with technology is we do have like Kahoot and quizzes, and you
Yes.
can group them into groups and they can work together and collaborate that way. And work together as a team, and those things, they spawn, competition and good competition. So I think that's, one of the nice things about technology with, education as well, is that the kids can use those kind of things.
And even like Google Docs and slides, however you can share it with a group,
Yeah.
and they can still do a group
Participate.
project.
Yeah.
They can all participate and
Yeah.
chat together about it. So.
Yeah, and I think parents are learning about all that stuff, because now it's happening in their house instead of happening in our classrooms.
Right.
I do want to draw one line in the sand though here. What we're talking about as parents and as educators, get your kids involved with connecting with their family and friends. Use the online tools you have. If you're out there and you're watching this, the district has a Chromebook device for your child. They can use that Chromebook device to make these connections.
Yeah.
Right? But every once in a while, there's going to be a child where the feeling of isolation is more than that. It's not something you fix by doing FaceTimes. It's not so. We realize as a district that there are kids that have more needs than maybe 95% of the kids in the district. And we're here for that too. And I wanted to educate families about this new position that we have in the district. It's a social worker position that we hired for this upcoming school year. And in addition to this new position, we have 5 counselor interns from San Jose State University
Oh, wow.
that now work with the
Nice.
Hollister School District.
Nice.
So this social work position will help connect all of those counselors with students in our district who do need one-on-one counseling or who do need small group counseling. That's a very big part of the district's plans to meet the needs of students. And I can tell parents who are watching and the community, our focus going into next year and the following year is to hire a second social worker and a third social worker, and beyond that, continue to add more counseling supports.
Oh, great.
More and more support.
Because we see it very much
Oh,
at
yeah.
the schools. Children do need counseling support. So I wanted to reassure parents about that, because I think there's 2 sides of this. One side is all the things you can do before there's a real feeling of depression and anxiety and isolation that becomes severe. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned it, Diana, get these kids outside. Let them feel the sun on their shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
For those of you that have never lived anywhere but Hollister, you have great weather here. I used to live in the Sacramento area. It's 100 degrees there from June until October. So I'm here in Hollister and it's 84 and I love it. And we need these kids outside.
Yeah.
And we need these kids getting involved outside.
Do
You
some
know,
yard work.
See, no, I'm glad you said that. Do the
He has
yard work.
weeds, I got weeds,
Oh,
come on over.
Mrs. Astoria, she's ready for anybody who wants to bring kids home for the full week.
Yes, I'll
Um,
supervise.
Walk the dogs.
Yeah, you
Walk
know,
the dogs, yeah,
you
that's a
know,
good one.
I live in a part of town that a lot of families walk. I live over by Sunny Slope Elementary. And there's just so many people walking and so many people with their pets. And I love it. I love seeing it. I think when I see people out there, I can see the look on their face. They're engaged. They're happy. They're
Yeah.
feeling good about themselves. So I want our students to do that too. I want them outdoors. I want them feeling the sun on their shoulders because it helps your mental health.
I
to
tell
do
my
all those
son, because my daughter does get a lot of exercise, and my son, on the other hand, can, if he chooses to, could sit there and play video games all day long. But I'm like, I tell him, you either go ride your bike twice around,
Yeah.
or you run around. But you're going outside, and I kick him out every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you go outside, and then you can go play basketball or do something. But it's very important for these kids to get outside, whether or not it's on their own, or with the parent, or with a sibling, but it's very important that they get outside.
It's important for the mental health, for
Yes,
sure.
very much so.
Physical and mental health, I think.
So,
agree.
I have a question regarding teacher training, and it comes in from one of our phone calls. Teachers were too critical of my student during the first session of distance learning. Will teachers receive training on how to provide emotional support to kids? You already talked about a little bit about the connection, but what kind of training will teachers receive between now and the start of school?
For social emotional?
Social emotional?
So many of our teachers were already trained in capturing kids' hearts, which really supports the social emotional learning and building relationship with students. And we have a few brand new teachers to Hollister School District, and actually today I was able to provide a PD, some on capturing kids' hearts for them, and really trying to express this to them. We need to build those relationships and meet kids where they are and families where they are, and everybody's going to have a different starting point on August 17th. And so I think that's a huge resource that our teachers will be tapping into is all the things they've learned in capturing kids' hearts.
Right, and I mentioned this earlier that on August 11th, that's where we're starting our professional learning for our teachers, is with capturing kids' hearts, building relationships, how to connect with families and students. So that's the training we're doing from the get-go.
There's also an online training that teachers who teach kindergarten through 6th grade will receive. It's a Sanford Harmony training. The district is adopting Sanford Harmony as a social emotional learning curriculum. And so all of your kids out there who are kindergarten through 6th grade will start to learn about the lessons and about the content having to do with Sanford Harmony. And basically what it's all about is it's all about how to care for other people, how to be a positive, supportive community member, how to take care of yourself, how to acknowledge other people, and how to deal with things that are new to you as a child. And we're really, really excited that that's coming, because basically that curriculum will be in every household in our district this year. So we're excited about that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And there's really great lessons in there for teachers, and there's a whole section just on like conversation starters that teachers can use with students and families can use with students, just to kind of open that door, like you said,
And it connects with capturing kids' hearts.
Yeah.
So it's all together.
It's all fitting together. So I have a question for Barbara here. I am worried that my child's day is just one long break all day long. tell the parents how that's gonna stop on August 17th.
Yes, that is definitely going to stop. So the way the schedule's looking is pretty rigorous. So I'm hoping that it's not gonna be one long break.
Shouldn't be, if it is. Call your teacher.
So I know for the middle school, we're breaking it up by period, so they're gonna have, their first, then they go to second, and so on and so on.
They'll have their classes in order.
In order, like they were really going to school, so
Same.
not, other than it being online, it's really gonna be very similar to the structure of them being at school.
Yeah.
They have to be ready for school, they have to be prepared. I've already made my syllabus ready to go, and I have, the requirements in which they need to have.
Yeah.
So, and I'm assuming elementary is pretty much the same way as far
Yeah,
as.
we're definitely setting expectations for students and a set schedule, and I think it's really important that parents set schedules and boundaries for their kids
Yeah.
too, and
Yeah.
just like I would get my kids ready for the first day of school, I'm
Mhm.
still getting them ready. I'm starting to putting them to bed earlier. I'm
Mhm.
setting alarms to get them up a little earlier than they're normally getting up. Get off that summer schedule. I'm having them eat breakfast, get ready, brush your teeth, make your bed, do your chores, because although we're not driving down the road to school, we're doing school.
Why is that so important? Why are you having them do that?
Because I feel like children thrive on schedules and consistency, and I want them to know that this is school and it's important to me, and that's why I'm taking it so seriously, and we're addressing it just like we would for regular school. I want them,
Routine. They
Well,
need a
children
routine.
do need
they
structure
need the
and
routine
routines.
and the structure, and they need to be ready to learn when they get on that
It
computer.
changes their whole mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
They go from, well, maybe at 9, maybe at 10, maybe at 11 to no.
No, you have
You're
class
Yeah.
at
starting
9.
at
It's
9.
7:45, so you need to already be at the breakfast table.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And now it's 8:05, so that means you're getting ready because your
Mhm.
class starts at 8:30.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Then what would you say for teenagers? Because she's got the 5-year-olds all the way up to the
Right.
12-year-olds, but you've got kids who are a little bit older, a little bit more
Right.
independent in some ways. What?
So a lot of the same. They need a routine. They need a schedule, which is why going back to middle school, they will have a first period, a second period. They'll have a break. They'll have third. They'll have lunch, fourth and fifth. So they will be on a set schedule. And I think having that and not just in one class
Yeah.
all day long will be helpful. But again, it's setting that routine of you need to be up at this time. You need to make sure you have all your work done, because second period is gonna start in 5 minutes or whatever. But pretty much, a lot of the same thing.
They still need structure.
They still definitely need
Yeah.
structure, and I think the routine of having to get up at a certain time is huge.
Yeah.
Making sure you're dressed and ready to learn.
Yeah.
That's gonna be an expectation, so.
and we've already started having the conversations at home with the kids. So this is what it's gonna look like. You're not gonna have your phones between the hours of 8 and 3 o'clock. They're gone.
Or your
Yeah.
PlayStation.
All that stuff is not available to you. It wouldn't be available to you at school. It's not gonna be available to you at home.
So you're actually gonna put
Oh,
it
yeah.
away?
Yeah, I'll be taking it with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, or my husband will take it with them, or, so.
Yeah.
You have to set boundaries.
Yeah.
They're in school.
During school.
One of the videos we're making for parents is we're showing parents how to set up a learning environment
Yeah.
in their house. That was one of the things parents asked for help with. I have 5 children, so setting up 5 different desks in the house, it's hard.
It is.
You only have so many dining
Yeah.
room tables, right? But there's some different things that you can do
Yeah.
to make a living room work for 1 or 2 kids, a kitchen work for 1 or 2
Mhm.
kids, a bedroom work for another. If you're in a situation like me, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And I think what's most important about it is that feeling that we're all as a family saying, normally you leave to school. Well, now school's happening here. So this is now school between this time and this time. That's when school happens. So that means we kind of get our mindset prepared for school, and then we go and we
have,
work.
yeah, we have a location for it. Maybe even setting up a box with all their things that they need for school in it would be helpful.
Yeah.
So that
Their backpack.
it's like school,
you know,
yeah.
Something.
I think parents are,
Supplies.
yeah, I think everybody's ready, actually. We just had our last drive-through Chromebook pickup. And unfortunately for Lad Lane families, we ran out of Chromebooks that were prepared for that day about an hour into it. But you had
We'll
you had a line around the block.
Oh,
You
yeah.
had a lot of parents.
They're ready.
Diana, you had your event yesterday. You had lots of
We
people
had a lot
coming.
of parents, and
Yeah.
still today,
You had more coming in.
more coming in today.
Yeah, and we want parents to know if you didn't get your device yet, pick up the phone and call your school.
Yep.
We have staff that's there waiting to get you your device. At Lad Lane, we'll have more devices there.
They'll be
This
there
upcoming
more Monday, so they can schedule appointments starting Monday.
Where they'll be able to make appointments, and we have actually our teachers coming back on Tuesday, so we're excited about that. We have training for teachers. We have the ball rolling, and everything is set up and everything is in place. And what I want to do is I want to end by giving everybody here a chance to give a message to your parents, because Miss Penny, you have been teaching science at Mays. You have had hundreds and hundreds of kids come through your class, and this is our chance to give a message to parents about we're basically a week and a couple of days away from school starting. What do you want to tell them? What's the message you want to give them as we wrap up tonight?
My biggest message would be that this is a partnership. So, and the only way this really works is if you and me and the child all work together. It's not separated, so.
I love
That
that
would be my-
message. What a good message. Mrs. Herbst, you're gonna have to give a good message.
I know,
because that was awesome.
Barbara, I have to go first. My message to my parents is going to be, please make sure that your child is on a routine and that they're following their class schedule and that they have all of the supplies that they need. And if you need anything at all, give us a call at Mays. I will help you. I have my office manager who's amazing. I have 2 just outstanding assistant principals who are eager to help, and really my whole entire staff. So if you need anything at all, just give us a call at Mays.
Yeah, and I think what I would say is we know it's not easy. This is not a situation that any of us asked for as parents, as administrators, as teachers, as students, as staff, but we love your kids and we will do anything to make this work for them, and we just need to know what you need. So please, like Diana said, don't hesitate to ask, and if we can do it or provide it, we definitely will, because we want your kids to be successful just as much as you do, and we're gonna see to it that happens this year. So we're ready. We're ready for them.
I'm ready.
I love
We're
those
excited.
messages. I have a message for parents. I'm not gonna repeat anything you said, but we have some important town halls happening next week. We have a Mays Town Hall.
Yes.
We have a Lad Lane Town Hall, Gavilan Hills, HDLA, Sunny Slope, Sarah Vista, Calaveras, every single school is gonna have a town hall like this.
Oh.
Only you won't be seeing me anymore. You'll see the principal and 3 of the employees at the school. It could be teachers, it could be assistant principals, it could be a secretary, it could be a coach, it could be just a variety of different staff members, but each school is gonna have a town hall, and if you, I don't have the paper in front of me, but if the 2 of you know when your town hall is, you can tell parents now.
Yes.
And you're also gonna send them an email and a
Yes.
phone call, but feel free to put a plug
Yeah.
in for your town hall.
So I do want to say a couple things. So we do have a town hall Thursday at 6 o'clock, next Thursday at 6 o'clock here.
Awesome.
on the same YouTube channel.
Mhm.
But I did add some new updates to the Loud Lane website today with some more information. So if there's anything that pertains to Loud Lane that you have questions about, check that out.
Go to your website.
Hopefully it helps.
Go to your website.
If not, call us.
Yes. Our town hall is next Thursday at 5 here. Again, same YouTube channel. And we are in the process of updating our website. We're adding a few more things. So that should be finished by hopefully Monday or Tuesday. So always go to our website and see what's going on. But we'll see you on Thursday.
I love it. I love it. And to all the parents out there, tonight's town hall was a real pleasure. I think you can see I work with 3 really talented, amazing educators who are totally committed to your children. And it starts from every staff member at our schools, from our passion, from our feeling of commitment to all of your children. And we can't wait for August 17th to get here. Thank you all very much for being here. I'm going to step off to the side and disconnect here, and thank you all for watching tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.